So, Outcome Memories, a game that needs little introduction if you're a fan of both Sonic and the Roblox platform. This is a terrible time frame to make this video, I know. It's a fun little game that takes the foundation set by asymmetrical horror games and puts a spin on it by having the characters surviving these scenarios being the classic cast of Sonic characters, with movesets directly inspired by the game appearances, with the killer, or executioner, being one of the many sonic.exe creations made by the Sonic horror fanbase. The gameplay in itself has you playing as one out of the many survivors available, with a maximum party of 7 players, all playing against another player chosen to be the round's executioner. The gameplay consists of stalling for time, stunning the executioner or evading them to the best of your ability, while the executioner's entire idea is to, well, it's in the name, kill everyone. The survivor roles are quite simple. Here's a rundown of every survivor. Sonic has a drop dash that stuns the EXE up to 3 times and fills his dodge meter, which is used up whenever the EXE hits you. It basically just negates a hit. And a peel out that carries allies and revives them if they're downed. Tails has a cannon that has infinite range and stuns the EXE based on how long you keep the beam on him. And he can glide? What the fuck? Knuckles punches real good and has 2 additional phases to his punch. Phase 2 stuns the EXE for an extra second, and the third applies burn that slows the EXE down. He also has a counter, which is pretty self-explanatory. Oh, he can also latch onto walls and glide off if he jumps off the wall, but you would literally never find this out unless you kind of just free yourself onto a wall, which I don't know why you would do that. Amy uses her hammer to stun the EXE, either by hitting the EXE with it or throwing it at them. She also gets 2 cards at the beginning of the match, which uses a reroll ability to, reroll her cards. Cream is the only dedicated healer in the game. She heals in an AoE, and her second ability sucks really bad and gives you a speed boost. In the air she can also glide. What you may also not know is that she has a second passive, in fact. When you play Cream, you instantly get highlighted to the EXE for the entire match, making it so that he will go for you no matter what you do. Metal Sonic charges at max speed, being able to either be used for mobility or to slam the EXE into a wall, stunning while dealing damage to himself. His second ability heals himself every 2 seconds or so. Standing close to either Tails or Eggman speeds up his healing. The trade-off though is that he can't be downed. Instead, when his HP reaches 0, he just dies brutally. Oh, that's Gore. That's Gore, my favorite comfort character. Oh, and it also stuns the EXE. Eggman is the only survivalist in the game with a focus on looping the EXE around. He has a double jump as well as his first ability speeding him up a ton. His second ability just provides a shield that acts more like a counter than anything. If the EXE hits him during this state or tries to, he'll get stunned and get flung back. Only sometimes though. Sometimes. The 2 parties are scored at the end of each round for their performance. Every survivor is scored based on how many times they stunned the executioner, helped their allies out of the down state, and how much time they spent around the killer, being directly in the line of danger. Now the executioner is ranked on how well they did trying to bring you all to your collective game over, dude. And the subject of this video is exactly this ranking system. To simplify, the scoring system scores you an F to S rank based on how many points you scored, rewarding you a ring payout, the current highest being 350 for getting an S rank. Rings are used in the shop for survivor and executioner accessories, so you can customize your little scrunkle as much as you want. My problem isn't really with the ranking system in itself. It has to do with how the score is tallied up. The scoring system in this game is confusing, really puzzling, and is one of the things that sticks out like a sore thumb to me in the game. At first, this video was going to be more of a rant, an off-the-dome kind of ranty video, but then I started asking for people's opinions on the matter. Ew, I almost threw up. Asking around the game's community Discord server, it's not hard to find people having their own trouble with this game's score and how it's tallied, or my personal mixed experiences with it. For example, here's the Sonic game where I, in my humble opinion, did pretty alright, considering the EXE would use Invisible every single time I use my drop dash. I helped my teammates up, and yet somehow this is worth only a measly D rank, where in these 2 games I did very little, but still ended up with an S rank. In Knuckles' case, it was intentional for the purposes of this video. As for Amy, it was just A messy game. The EXE was a beginner and got lost easily in Nexus Castle. Point is, looking at these screenshots, the only thing I can ask myself is, why bother help my team when I can do nothing and be rewarded? And straight up, this is the last thing you want to push to a player in a game that's basically entirely centered on team play. It should instead incentivize people to actually play the game instead of camping in a corner until the escape ring spawns. The main problem I see personally is that the game puts a greater emphasis on you actually escaping rather than how much you actually contributed to the overall team experience, as a lot of the time you could have done significant impact on the game, playing really well but get a low rank because you died or failed to escape. I don't have the screenshot unfortunately, but I did have a game with Metal Sonic where I stunned the EXE a whopping total of 6 times but got a D rank for not getting to the escape in time as I was learning the game. Now, with all that said, this video wouldn't really be all that productive if there were no ideas on how to possibly adjust the score system. And I have 2 suggestions that I think could work well. One that I think would be more reasonable to implement, while the second kind of reworks the system a little bit. With all that out of the way, my first suggestion aims less to change how the system is now, but to grade characters in a more specific sense. Currently, a purely supportive survivor like Cream is scored the same as a purely offensive survivor like Knuckles, mostly due to lack of proper score multipliers for every character. They're all just based on stunning, being last man standing, or if you got down before you escaped. With this, I'm introducing a few multipliers for specific actions that would incentivize more player interaction. For starters, a healer multiplier is more than obvious. This would apply for Cream and Amy since they're the only ones able to heal other survivors. Amy less so because she can only do that when she gets the Sun card, but still, it would be nice. Hero would give a multiplier for reviving at least 2 teammates. Sonic would greatly benefit from this as he would be incentivized to use his peel out for anything other than just running away. Full counter is more so intended for Eggman, but Knuckles would benefit from it too since Eggman isn't able to stun the EXE without the EXE themselves attacking first. Sacrificial would be very much a Metal Sonic specific multiplier. I find it weird that a game that heavily punishes actually dying would make it so that a character dying has a beneficial side effect, that being Metal Sonic's explosion once he dies. You'd have to land at least like 3 stuns before dying to get this multiplier, so the little robot has to put a little work in. Yeah, Metal, woohoo, go! Frontliner would be a multiplier for a high danger time. Not character specific, you should just be rewarded for being around the killer so much. And yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're gonna have to go, dude. No, yeah, no, I know, I'm sorry, yeah, no. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep. Well, there they go. Whatever. I do want to reiterate, by the way, that these multipliers intend on helping people who die early in a match or don't make it to the end. You don't really need these if you're already winning the game to begin with. It would be kind of redundant, which is why I'm removing these negative multipliers. It doesn't make sense to have a multiplier that gives you a good multiplier for escaping at low health, but then have a negative one that punishes you for being on your last life. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And the salt and the wound that you feel when you died, and then you get a negative multiplier for dying. Like, what the hell? It's like they were trying to make people so frustrated. What is up with that? This one is kind of weird. As I mentioned previously, it kind of aims to redo the entire system's one. In simple terms, the game would instantly give you a ring payout as soon as you did anything important in a match, whether it be a stun, healing, reviving. You'd get something right away, separate from the payout you receive from escaping. Think like Forsaken, I guess. In Forsaken, as soon as you help your team out, in general, you get a small reward. I think this would incentivize people to be more active participants in the game. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't like this suggestion as much because there's a big, round elephant in the room. Eggman. Can't stun by himself. Gameplay cycle consists of either looping or juking, which wouldn't give much of a payout in itself. Here he throws a wrench into my schemes, the guy. It would also benefit some characters much more. Favor them, really. Sonic, for example, can stun a hell of a lot more than, I don't know, an Amy could due to his drop dash. If it's landed, Sonic can do up to 3 stuns at once, and is something that he can stack on top of any stun in the game, which would quickly become a quick way to make a lot of rings, almost like punishing you for trying to pick someone else. Still, I think it's somewhat viable because survivors who die early would at least get something rather than the current status quo, which is absolutely nothing. In general, I think that the current system is fine enough, but has some flaws that could easily frustrate the player. Part of that is that the game is very harsh towards newcomers, mostly because there's absolutely no official info on this game. The developers are honestly kind of weird in this regard because they publicly denounce the fan wiki when it's the only source of information we have on this game. Things like Amy's tarot cards, Tails' 2 separate cooldowns for his cannon, Sonic's dodge ability, Knuckles' separate phases for his punch, Metal being able to heal faster when closer to specific characters, just to name a few, would be things you'd either have to learn by yourself or search for outside information on that impact gameplay tremendously. For Amy, her entire gameplay revolves around her tarot cards, where you're simply given no info on them whatsoever. Oh, I think I got sidetracked. The score system, yeah, it certainly needs improvements in some parts, but I think it really can be... right, yeah, I don't think the executioners need anything. It's very easy to get an S rank as an executioner. Oh, bye!